We have waited all winter for them to decide on where they want to start their new chapter of their career. Those two free agents happen to be starting pitcher Dallas Keuchel and right-handed pitcher and closer Craig Kimbrel. Two dominant pitchers, but we are now in June and yet we still don't know where these two will end up. Or will we? Find out more on this week's episode of The Rookie Hour Show. How is everyone doing today? Welcome to this week's episode of The Rookie Hour Show. My name is Nick Posada and I am your host. And let me tell you, we have a few things to cover this week, but boy, are they very interesting. Two major orders of business this week is to talk about both free agents Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrel and where they both decided to go. Yes, I did say that correctly. Both have found the deal they were looking for and have found homes with their new teams. So let's talk about Keuchel and Kimbrel and see where they ended up and how this will affect their new teams and their respective divisions. First, let's leave Craig Kimbrel in the on-deck circle and talk about Dallas Keuchel. Dallas Keuchel is a starting pitcher that originally came from the Houston Astros. Keuchel was a dominant force on the mound for the Astros, especially during the 2017 World Series against, yes, the Los Angeles Dodgers. If it's one thing I know, being a Dodgers fan, Justin Verlander wasn't the only pitcher I was worried about during that series. I also had to worry about Dallas Keuchel. Keuchel had a commanding 2017 with an overall ERA of 2.90 and a win-loss record of 14-5. So it's clear that Keuchel has been a dominant force these past two seasons. With some solid numbers these past 2 years, Keuchel wanted to look for a new team that could make him a go-to option and not be in the shadow of Verlander. On June 6th, Keuchel found his new home. With much rumors going around the league with the 2019 MLB draft conclusion, Keuchel was about to settle a deal with a team. Keuchel agreed and signed a 1-year, $13 million contract with the Atlanta Braves. Now, if you remember in last week's episode, we talked about Madison Bumgarner and how the Braves could be an option for him to be traded, but it looks like the Braves already found their guy. The Braves currently stand second in the NL East, just one game back of the Philadelphia Phillies, with a record of 26 wins and 29 losses. With a starter like Keuchel, this might help the Braves pass the Phillies and be the leader in the NL East. Although Keuchel signed a 1-year deal, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's really only a rental. There is most definitely a possibility that when his contract expires, he could look to sign an extension with the Braves. And depending on how the rest of the season goes and potentially the postseason for the Braves, Keuchel could be in the sights for a much larger contract with the Braves. But, of course, only time will tell. Right now, Dallas Keuchel is scheduled to make his season debut in the minors under the Braves organization to get some rust off before they call him up. With Dallas Keuchel signing with the Atlanta Braves, next up to bat we have right-handed pitcher and closer Craig Kimbrel. We'll talk more about him after this short break. And we are back. So Craig Kimbrel is without a doubt one of the scariest closers in all of baseball. With a successful 2018 campaign with the Boston Red Sox beating, again, the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series, it is without a doubt that Kimbrel deserves a long-term contract with a team of his choice. Although Kimbrel had a rough ALCS against the Houston Astros back in 2018 because of tipping pitches, he still had a pretty strong 2018 campaign. With an ERA of 2.74 last season with a win-loss percentage of about 83%, but he also had 96 strikeouts, Kimbrel gave himself the numbers that he needs to potentially find a new home. Now, the question is, where will Kimbrel go? Well, as of June 5th, free agent Craig Kimbrel agreed to a multi-year deal with, yes, the Chicago Cubs. His contract is worth 3-year, $45 million. This pickup is one that the Cubs really needed. With a pretty decent bullpen to start off the season, the Cubs just needed one guy to finish off close games for them down the stretch, and what better guy than Craig Kimbrel? Right now, the Cubs are currently in second place and are just behind the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cubs are only half a game back with 37 wins and 28 losses, so clinching the NL Central is still in their grasp, but it's still too early to tell. I personally think Kimbrel will shine with the Cubs, but more importantly, I think that he could be that guy to get the Cubs over the hump in the postseason after losing to the Colorado Rockies in the NL wildcard game back in 2018. Now, if the Cubs could pick up another strong pitcher to add to their arsenal of pitchers in their bullpen, I think the Chicago Cubs could have a very successful year, possibly even better than the 2016 Chicago Cubs that went to the World Series and won it all. But of course, only time will tell to see if Kimbrel will turn out well for the Cubs. With both Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrel with new teams here in 2019, we as fans can finally stop thinking of where they're headed. Now, before we end this week's episode, I would like to give one final address. So stay tuned, and we will be right back after this short break. And we're back. So before we conclude this week's episode, I would like to say one thing. I would like to say that my thoughts and prayers go out to David Ortiz and his family. For those who are unaware of the incident that happened this Sunday, June 9th, former designated hitter David Ortiz from the Boston Red Sox was shot and wounded in his hometown Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. What authorities are calling an attempted robbery found Ortiz with a bullet in his back. Ortiz was stable at the scene and was rushed to a local clinic for an emergency surgery. After his procedure concluded, which was successful, he is finally in stable condition, and as of this recording, he is headed back to Boston for further treatment from doctors here in the States. Now, I have to say that the outpour of support for Ortiz around Major League Baseball and from the city of Boston is truly incredible. I've seen teams such as the Boston Bruins give their support. I've seen the New England Patriots give out their support, guys like Tom Brady and all these big name guys from Massachusetts and New England, Boston, that area. It's truly been incredible. And it's just, it's truly something that you want to see after something so tragic like that happens. If you want to stay up to date on Ortiz and his condition, make sure to follow me on all platforms of social media to stay in the loop. I will definitely be posting more about David Ortiz when I hear some news, just to keep you guys up to date on his current situation. Now, I know this week's conclusion of the Ricky Hour show kind of ended on a sour note, but I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrel, and they're probably, without a doubt, the two biggest signings of this season so far, especially mid-season signing, actually. So, with that being said, that will conclude this week's episode of the Ricky Hour show. Thank you so much for giving us a listen today. The support for this channel and for Ricky Hour in general has been amazing this past week, and I'm truly excited for what will come next. Make sure to follow Ricky Hour on all social media. The links will be provided in the description below, like usual. Make sure to give this episode a like, comment, and of course, subscribe. Don't forget to share with all of your friends. Also, make sure to hit that bell right next to the subscribe button to be notified on each post here on YouTube. Again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Nick Posada, and it's time for me to head back into the clubhouse. I'll see you next time.